It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and in today's episode we're going to be making pasta. Lots of pasta dishes. We're going to be making spaghetti and meatballs, and then we're going to be making a fettuccine Alfredo. So first of all, we're going to be making our pasta dough. And in your food processor, we're going to be putting in 2 2/3 cup of flour. Now you just want all-purpose flour. As we did once before, we tried the gluten-free flour, and that just doesn't work in the rolling machine. It just fell apart. So we're going to put in 2 2/3 cup of flour. Remember to level that off so we get the good measurements. 2 2/3. Go. And then in a little mixing bowl, we're going to have 4 eggs. Now I want to put this in the mixing bowl because I want to mix these up by hand first so that they're incorporated slightly to make it easier to mix in with the flour. So then in that also we need a teaspoon of olive oil, and a half teaspoon of kosher salt. Now, of olive oil in baking and cooking, you want to use the extra virgin olive oil because it's less greasy, it's less heavy, it's lighter. It's easier for cooking. We'll just take and put this into our bowl, and we'll process it until it starts to form a ball. And first, we're going to break up the eggs first. Now we'll just pour this in until we form a ball. There we go. Just starting to form there. We don't want to over mix it either, it'll be really tough and hard. So now we'll get this out of the way, and then we're going to put this on our KitchenAid, and we'll put on the dough hook. So now we can put our dough into the dough hook, into the bowl here. And we're going to take and knead this for about 8 to 10 minutes. And if your pasta dough is slightly on the drier side, you can just add a little bit of water, just until it, forms the dough ball. If you want to get this smooth and elastic. And if it's too moist, you can just add a little bit more flour. But this was a little bit on the drier side, so let's add a little bit of water. And now we'll let this knead for about 5 to 10 minutes. You can do that by hand, or you can do it by the machine. And then we'll be right back. Okay, now we got this into a nice smooth ball. And if you take it out then and just knead it for about a minute or two, then you get that nice and smooth and elastic. All the ingredients are together. There we go. Now we can let this rest for about 20 minutes. And we'll just take and cover that with a rag, moist rag. We don't want this to dry out. So we'll just let that sit. That's just so the gluten can have a chance to rest. Now we can go on and to make our meatballs. For this we need about a half a pound of each of ground beef and ground pork. And then we'll just put that right into our bowl here. And I got my fresh beef and pork from Hacky Millers in Robbinsdale, the meat market there. They have wonderful meat. Oh, excellent. One thing though about the ground beef and pork, the freshly ground meat, because it is so fresh, you need to use it up within 3 days or else freeze it, because it'll spoil rather quickly on you, because it's so fresh. Then, we're going to take and put in our cracker crumbs. And we want approximately about a cup of cracker crumbs. And then we need, about a teaspoon of garlic, a couple of garlic cloves. I just got a teaspoon of fresh garlic here, already minced. Ooh, smell that. Woo. And then in our mixing cup, we need 1 egg. And about a little salt and pepper to taste. I go like about a half a teaspoon of salt and about a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. There we go. And we'll just take and just beat this together a little bit to break up the egg. And I just pour that right in with our meat and cracker crumbs. And then we can take and mix this together. Okay, now get that done. Okay, then I just take my little cookie dough scooper and I just scoop out to make our meatballs. See? This way, they look almost perfect. And what you're doing is, rather than just guessing and grabbing and having different sizes, when you use a scooper, you get the same amount in every ball. So then when you roll it, they look all uniform and the same size. I'm going to dredge these in flour. Just roll these in flour. And then we can take and start frying these up until they're done. And this will take about, about 8-10 minutes. So when these are frying, I think we can start on our spaghetti sauce. Oh, we got dishes at Callie. Where's Callie? Oh, she's gonna my dishes. Okay, let that go on. Then we can start on the sauce. And the sauce is so simple to make too, so it's just as easy to make your own. Okay, then I've got my pot here, and I put in about 2 tablespoons of oil. And then we're going to put in, I've got a large onion that I cut in half, and I dice this into small pieces. We don't have real large ones, we won't have a small ones for the sauce. And we can take and let those start softening up. All right, then for my tomato sauce, I got 2 cans of plum tomatoes. Got the whole ones. You can use diced ones if you want, whatever. And I'm just going to take and mash these anyway. And then into that sauce, approximately a half teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and pepper. In the pan then, since those onions are just about ready, not quite, I'm going to throw in a teaspoon of garlic. And with the garlic now, this is the fresh minced garlic. You don't want to brown your garlic. It gets rancid. You just want to heat it up so that the oils have a chance to permeate the sauce. That does the heat is going to open up the garlic, let the natural oils flow out, and it gives it a much more intense flavor. And you try and do that with all your spices if you can. If you roast your spices, it brings out the oils, it opens them up so that they get more flavor comes out. They're not so bland. And usually that happens a lot from being stuck on your sauce, you know, for a year or two, whatever. They lose their potency. So by heating up your spices, that really opens up the spores in the spice and adds more flavor. Okay, the water's reboiling, okay. And soft onion, garlic is done. We add our tomato sauce. Tomatoes. And we can just let this simmer for about 10 minutes or so, 8 to 10 minutes. And while that's simmering, turn that back down to a lower simmer. You don't want to boil it away. That's done, that's done. Water's boiling. We can make the spaghetti. We want divide this into 6 pieces. Because as we are making our noodly oodlies, you want to keep them floured so they don't stick together. Okay, so what we do now, making the spaghetti, is you take your portion of dough and you want to flatten this out into about a 3 by 5 rectangle. And we're going to run this through the roller first. And I got it on about a 4. The thinner you go, the quicker your spaghetti is going to cook up. So, you know, eventually if you just start at a higher or lower number and work your way up to the higher number, the thinner it gets. So if you get to the final one, I'm folding this in half and running it through again. If you get to the final number, it's going to be like angel hair pasta. It's going to be extremely thin. It'll cook up really quick. So you want regular spaghetti, you don't want to go that high. You want to have some thickness to your spaghetti. Now make sure you flour these very well. So that's the secret in the roller, is to have this flour in when we make our spaghetti. I'm going to change the roller now to the cutter. And this is floured well on both sides so that it comes out nicer. Yeah, spaghetti noodly oodlies. Callie's favorite, noodly oodlies. Oh, she loves noodly oodlies. And see, that just falls apart. Oh, look at all that spaghettis. Oh, look at all noodly oodlies, Callie. Oh, look at that. And you just want to dust this with flour so you have enough flour on the bottom here in your countertop so you can just toss this around. Then they don't all stick together. And we grab a portion. Now if you don't use up all your pasta, or do use up all your pasta, and you can take these individual stacks, as long as they're well floured, spread them out a little bit. You can air dry them for about an hour, put them in a Ziploc bag, and you can freeze them for up to 3 months. Okay, now let's take our noodly oodlies and put those into our boiling water. And just make sure, you know, give them a little jiggle so they don't stick together. Now, if you want a smooth sauce, you can just take your immersion wand and just blend this all together. But I want to keep mine chunky. That's a traditional Italian way, is to have it more on a soupier side, because then you got all the juices and you got chunks of tomatoes in there. And usually wait till they float to the top, but predominantly about 3 to 5 minutes. Because they don't take too long to cook because they're fresh. So about 3 minutes is all you need. Oh, those are coming along just fine. And our meatballs. Those are really nice. I haven't sampled one yet. So now we can just put together a plate. my spaghetti strainer spoon right here. I can just pick that up and just let it drain right back into the bowl. In fact, there we go. Fresh pasta. Some. I'm always expecting Callie to come running around the corner. Oh. And then let's do a few meatballs. And then we can just put on our fresh sauce. And see how I got tomatoey, the onion, and the sauce like that. Now, like I said, you can blend this together if you want a smooth sauce, which most Americans are used to. So this is our spaghetti con polpette di carne, which is spaghetti and meatballs. Hope you enjoy. Fresh pasta. Okay, now we can go on to our next recipe, and this is going to be shrimp fettuccine in Alfredo sauce. Ho, ho, ho. I better shoot up a few shots extra of insulin on that one. That was a lot of carbs. Anyway, now that we got the system down for the pasta machine, which was the secret, is making sure that everything is floured well. Because the slightest non-flour gets sticky dough and it gets stuck in there and it sticks together. You want to make sure you get a lot of flour on that. So with that in mind, to make the fettuccine, it's the same principle as making the spaghetti. We want to take and go through the machine, flatten it out, and then take and put it through our fettuccine cutter. So we put in the roller, and I still got this on 4, so that's a nice medium consistency, thinness or thickness of the fettuccine noodles. So so that's one of the things that I've learned. Make sure they have plenty of flour. And again, we're going to press this out to like about a 5 by 3 piece of dough. And it doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be all cut up anyway, so it doesn't matter. The water boiling? Yep. Okay. Ooh, plug it in. Okay, now we'll just put this through again. Once you get used to the machine, these gadgets are real fun to play with and experiment. Like I said before, this is how you make your lasagna, and this is how you make your ravioli too. I'm just running this through a second time, and this helps just to stretch it out and to form it into your noodles. Get some more flour down here. Can't forget that. More on top here to sprinkle. You know, it's not a heavy coating. It's a light coating, but it's enough just to keep it dry so we don't end up with noodles all stuck together. Okay, and then we'll turn this off and put in our cutter. This is so fun, I love this. Here comes the noodly oodlies, Callie. Oh, Callie, at least noodly oodlies, look at, noodly oodlies. I just love this. Look at those beautiful noodles. Now, like I said, you can make this dough out of so many different flavors. You know, making the whole wheat flour instead of white flour. Just don't use the gluten-free. That they don't, gluten-free dough flour doesn't roll out. It falls apart, breaks apart. But just look at this. Isn't this fun? Look at all these noodlies. Fabulous fettuccine. So what I did was I got, let's put this on the side here. I got a baking sheet here and just kind of let those air out. And I'll get my second dough. What I did was I did the one dough recipe. And I used half of it for making the spaghetti noodles and the other half for making our fettuccine. There we go. Noodlies. And these are all ready to bake or to cook off. So, water's boiling. I want to make my Alfredo sauce first. So, turn that on high, well not medium high. And get our heavy cream. That's all you need is heavy cream, Parmesan cheese, and nutmeg. That's it. Now, other places I've worked at, there's many varieties and variations of making it. However you want to make it, your own business. But some people have also poured in a little bit of white wine. One thing I love about my kitchen window, it's right on Main Street here. And I just see everybody going by here. I'm right by the community center. It's like, always nosy to see who's going by and walking their dogs and everything else. I feel like Mrs. Kravitz and Bewitched. So anyway, now if we're making Alfredo sauce, like I showed you, what the ingredients are, you can put in as much or as little as you want. I mean, there's no specifications for this, the way I make it. It is eyeballing. And what it is you want to bring your heavy cream to a boil. And then we want to put in, 1/8 of a teaspoon, just a dash, eighth of a teaspoon of nutmeg in there. And that's what really gives it a nice flavor. Most people, if you have fresh nutmeg and grate it with the plain, that's even better. I got a plain on order finally. I found one. They're not cheap either. Oh, Lord. You just bring this to a boil, and then you just add Parmesan cheese to it and mix it together until it's thick sauce. That's it. Boom. I think we got this. As you can see, it's boiling away here. So we just have the heavy cream comes to a boil, a little nutmeg, and then we just add Parmesan cheese to it until we get a thick sauce. Now let's see, it's getting there. It's not quite. It's getting there, almost. That's why I don't know exact measurements, just go by sight. And you don't want a really thick paste either. And if it does get too thick, then you can always add a little bit more cream to thin it out. And that looks just about right. All right, making sure that's all dissolved. Let that rest so it don't burn. And then I can show you the noodly oodlies. Got the water boiling, and we'll just drop in our noodles. Stir this up. That's one thing about pasta is when cooking with pasta, it's not going to stick. You don't need to add oil and salt to the water and everything else. You just want to make sure that first minute that you're cooking that you're stirring it like 2 or 3 times that first minute. And that'll keep it from sticking. And fresh pasta is probably going to stick it much easier. But it cooks up much quicker. It only takes about 3 minutes to cook pasta. And generally speaking, it's when it comes back to the top, when it starts floating again, that's when it's done. But since it's fresh though, I want to let this cook just about a minute longer or so. I know I don't want to overcook it, but I don't want to undercook it either, because I don't want to have raw dough after all that work. It takes about 3 minutes at the most. And I'm going to take and just put my shrimp in. This is pre-cooked shrimp. So you can put in as much or as little as you want. You know, it's all your personal preference. Thing is that so I'm going to have to bring this back to heat again, because the coal is going to thicken it up even more because it's still frozen. But the thing is about the shrimp is that you can put in as much or as little, as big or small pieces as you want. The higher the number in the size, the smaller the shrimp. The larger the number, the smaller the number, like your 18s or so, or 16s, 18s, the larger the shrimp are, like the giant prawns. And I'm going to bring this back to a boil again because I put that shrimp in and they weren't thawed out. But I don't want to, see, I don't want to get thawed out and cook them and everything else, because then they're going to get overcooked, because these are already cooked. So I just want to put them in and just heat them up. See how fettuccine, that's perfect. Okay, it's coming back to the boiling point. And it's a little thin because of the frozen shrimp, the water and the shrimp. Thinned it out. So we can always thicken that up. Add in more little Parmesan. And now, you take and add our pasta. Now the starch off of the pasta, that's going to help thicken up the sauce too. And just put this right in together. And I think I'm going to get a platter for this one. A bowl for myself. But I'm going to need a platter for serving this. This you can just bring out to your family on the table and serve in your smaller dishes. And we can just put this sauce and shrimp right on the top here. Shrimpies. I want to make sure to get my shrimp on top here, especially when serving, so that people can see the shrimpies in there. And for a little garnish, I have some fresh basil. And I'm going to take and just roll this up like a little cigar. And then slice this into thin slices, which is chiffonade. That's another term from the restaurant, chiffonade. It's when you roll your romaine lettuce and you cut it this way. And then you get real thin slices, and this makes a gorgeous little garnish. So we have the basil on top. Now let me get a close-up of that. And this is our shrimp fettuccine Alfredo. Oh, isn't that like a... I don't think I need to put this in a smaller bowl for myself. I can just take this whole thing. So I hope you enjoyed today's show on making homemade pasta. We made the fettuccine and we made spaghetti through the machine and the KitchenAid. And remember, I mean, I had problems too making it and discovering things, but the secret is to make sure that it's well floured. The pasta stays dry and not wet and moist noodly oodlies. You want to make sure they're dry so they slide through the machine. Now, if you have little crumbs in here, like I said, do not wash these. Water will wreck these and rust them out and destroy the blades and the cutters inside. So you just let these dry for an hour at room temperature. Then you can just take a little paintbrush and you can go through here and paint and scrub out any of the dried noodly oodlies that are in there if you happen to have some. But don't wash these. They're very expensive. You don't want to destroy them. So from Northwoods Cooking Show, I want to say eat healthy, be safe, and spread the sunshine. Bye-bye.